Hello friends, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be a little quarter-year book haul because the last time I talked about books that I got, it was January. I think it was a January TBR video, so it was right at the beginning of the year. It's been 3 months, I've accumulated some books, so we're just gonna talk through them. And I did tell myself that I wasn't gonna be buying as many books because I need to get through the rest of my physical TBR, but I keep coming up with video ideas and somehow they keep showing up. And I've been trying to keep them separated from the ones that I already have so that I can talk about them in this video. And once I record this, I can stress a lot less about how I'm keeping them and the order that I'm reading them. I can add them to potential books to read. I think I'm gonna go vaguely in the order that I got them, and we'll just make our way down. The first book that I have is actually my first ever book of the month. I decided to pick something a little bit more safe for my first time. So instead of picking one of the very new releases, I picked one that I had already heard a lot about. That is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I'm sure this book needs no introduction. It was one of the top books last year, but it's about two video game designers, and I genuinely don't know much past that. I know it's a really good story about the connection between these characters. I have high hopes. The second book is actually also a book of the month, and it is River Sing Me Home by Eleanor Shearer. This was my February pick, and it's about a mother who is a slave and she's looking for her children. I haven't really heard anybody talking about this book, but it seems like a little bit of a devastating story. The third book I got, I actually had no intention of buying it. I just went into a bookstore with my friends. We were just walking around and I saw this on the table and it said signed edition, and I thought, hey, that's pretty cool, let me just pick it up. And that is Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford. The story of a childhood defined by the looming absence of her incarcerated father. And like I said, it is signed. Somebody's Daughter steps into the world of growing up a poor black girl in Indiana with a family fragmented by incarceration and explores how isolating and complex such a childhood can be. I've really been trying to get books that are more diverse, which I do think is something you have to consciously make an effort to do. So I do try to make a point of getting books by people of color or by queer people. I would really like to read books by trans authors, if any of you know anybody, but I've been really trying to get into more perspectives, as I think we all should. The next book I've actually already read, and that is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I read this on Kindle for my 7 romance books video that I did for Valentine's Day, and out of those 7 books, this one was by far my favorite, and I thought it was only right to get a physical copy because I would like to reread it at some point. I think it would be kind of fun to annotate because I'm really not a romance reader. A lot of the books that I have are darker, so I like that I have the option to pick this up and to look through it, and at some point I definitely would like to go through and give it a reread. This is about Macy and Elliot. It's a second chance romance, and there's a decade time skip. They were together as kids, something happened, you don't know what, and it completely tore them apart, and over time you're learning what happened and why it was so bad that they completely cut contact for that long. And I just really loved all the communication in this book. I think it was done really well, and it was done in a way that was really comforting to read. These next 2 books I picked up purely because they are longer, and some of my favorite books are over 500 pages, so I really just wanted to invest in some more big books, and also to be a little bit pretentious and just have large books all over my shelves and to look really cool, because most people say they're intimidated by big books, so I just think it looks cool to have them, but I do fully intend on reading them. The first one I have is 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. I've heard a lot of things about this author. This is over 1,000 pages. I genuinely have no clue what it is. I picked it up because it was large. It's a love story, a mystery, a fantasy, a novel of self-discovery, a dystopia to rival George Orwell's. That, unfortunately, doesn't tell me anything. So I'm gonna be going into this blind and hoping for the best. And then the other book is The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki, which I gotta be honest, I did order this from UK Amazon because I really like the spine and the cover of this one a lot more than the one that they sell here. The only time I've ever done that. I don't even know if I'll like this book. I've never read anything by this author before, but I figured just in case I do like it, I want to have a copy that I enjoy looking at. Blending unforgettable characters with jazz, climate change, and our attachment to material possessions, this is a classic Ruth Ozeki. I don't know what to tell you. This one I am so excited to get to. It is Closer Baby Closey. Is Closer Baby Closer by Savannah Brown, and it is a signed copy again. This is her most recent poem collection. It came out a couple months ago, and I did pre-order it because I love her. All of Savannah's videos are so intimate, and they feel so special to watch. They feel like they mean something. I don't know. I really have always loved them. It says, in this third collection, poet Savannah Brown holds a magnifying glass to modern intimacy with a lens that burns as often as it illuminates. I'm really, really excited to read this. I don't think I've ever really read a poetry collection. I read Milk and Honey, whatever, but that was like a solid 7 years ago, and people have mixed opinions about those poems, but I think this is gonna be really good. And then the last book of the month book for this video is Wayward by Amelia Hart. Did I get it because of the little guy on the cover? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so it looks like it skips times. The front summary has 2019, 1619, and then 1942. Weaving together the stories of 3 extraordinary women across 5 centuries, Wayward is an astonishing debut and an enthralling novel of female resilience. Sounds good. I don't know, sounds pretty cool. That's interesting. It looks like the chapters skip. Each chapter is a different time, so it's just constantly jumping around. That's really cool. The next book is Hood Feminism, which I did already talk about in a video. There's the video where I was reading books written by female authors. I do think it's really well written. I think it's very inclusive. I think it's very unapologetic with its message, which is exactly what this book needs. It's basically just a book about how the feminist movement is still not very inclusive, and it's really only fighting for the privileged women to get more privilege. We have to acknowledge that some groups are gonna need more attention than others because that's the only way that we can level everything out. These next two I also bought for that video. So first, Breasts and Eggs by Miko Kawakami. I can finally take these stickers off. I was keeping them on specifically so I could record this video so that I could say that I'm taking them off. Weird way to go about it, but that's the way that it works. I did read and finish this book for that video, and I really enjoyed it. You're following the story of, it's a couple women's lives. There's two sections of the book. The first one is them just kind of living in their bodies. So the main character is kind of observing the people around her. Her sister wants to get breast implants, and they're considering why she would want to do that and just generally the pressure that's put on women to look a certain way. And along with that, you're getting the sister's daughter who is growing into this woman's body and she doesn't like what's happening, and you're just getting all of their feelings about existing in female bodies. And the entire second part of the book, the main character is an older woman. She's in her 40s or 50s, but she's considering having a child. She's not in a romantic relationship and she doesn't really want that. So the second half of the book is focusing on her trying to figure out if she should have a kid and if that's morally okay, and financially can she do it, and emotionally would that be okay for her and for the kid. And in that section of the book, you're also getting the perspectives of the people around her who are either saying, yes, have a kid, it's a great experience. No, don't have a kid because I hate my life and I don't think anybody should have kids because they might go into a world that is full of suffering. You're getting all these different perspectives from people who are parents or who were kids. We all have our own different experiences, and because of that, they have their opinions about having kids. I just really liked all the perspectives that it offers because it doesn't necessarily say which one is the right option. And I do also like that it's about an older woman. I think we definitely need more media like that because there's a lot of content that's focused on women getting old and that's it. They're past their prime, they can't do anything, which is simply not true. Also for that video, I bought Valley of the Dolls. I didn't end up reading it. I believe it's another story about a group of girls in New York. It's a book about women's rights, gay rights, drug addiction, all good fun things. I haven't really heard anything about this, but it's a 50th anniversary book, so I figured maybe it's held up this long, then it'll be good. The next book is one I am so excited about. I have been wanting to get literally since 7th grade. Words cannot describe how much I have desired this book, and that is Virginia Woolf's The Waves. If you don't know, All the Right Places was one of my favorite books for all of high school. I love the characters so dearly, and something that they do is quote a whole lot of Virginia Woolf. I feel like this will be really special to read because that book meant so much to me. I did already do a video on these, so really quickly, Infinite Jest, In Cold Blood, Slouching Towards Bethlehem, and On the Road. I recently bought all 4 of these for a video where I was reading Maddie Healy's favorite books. Did I need to buy all of those? No. Could I have bought them on Kindle for a lot less? Probably. Would that have been the better decision? Almost definitely. But they're here now, so we're just gonna live with that decision. There are 2 books left. First one, I will not be saying the name of. Hopefully you can all see. There you go. I got this book when we went to New York last week. I will say their books are a lot more diverse than the bookstores here. Could just be because it's bigger, but could also be because it's New York and not Florida. But this is described as graphically sexual and one of the best-selling gay novels of all time. I have no clue what to expect, but I'm intrigued. And then finally, there is one last book, and it is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is the Hunger Games prequel that just came out. I'm a little late to the party, and the reason is I genuinely had no interest in picking this book up. The Hunger Games, Divergent, Percy Jackson, like that period of time. I don't know if I'm ready to revisit it, but I was at work, I think 2 days ago, and we were on the floor talking about hobbies, and then somebody mentioned that I like to read and said they had recently read this book and asked if I did, and I said no, and they said it was really good and that they thought maybe I would have read it. At which point I immediately made plans to go to the bookstore and pick it up, because I have zero impulse control, and if somebody so much as mentions a book to me, I will be reading it. So now I have this. I did also get 2 books on Kindle during this time. I got Queer by William Burroughs. Again, that was for the Maddie video, and then one book I've had on Kindle for a while that I just got into reading is As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. Really devastating story. I'm only 12% through, but that one is rough. And that wraps up my spring TBR. No, absolutely not. And that wraps up my little spring book haul. I have no clue when I'll be reading these books, hopefully soon, because obviously if I bought them, I was excited to read them, so I'm hoping I follow through, but that's all I got for this one. So if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. If you like my face and you want to see more of it, you can subscribe to this channel or my main channel, Riverbxnd, where I post music content, or my Instagram, Spotify, Goodreads, and Storygraph, which I will link in the description for you. Okay, cool, thanks, bye.